activities, the buying of how do you call it? Just those operational activities that they are using. That is the use of goods. And the president knowing
there is nothing new, honorable member. Since my days here as a member of parliament, the economy of this country has been driven by external sources.
That is why, Mr. Speaker, I'm giving you figures in our days, in the days of the APC, comparing to figures now for you to judge. Mr. Speaker, I'm comparing now. And the president talked about in that very
since my days, the economy has been debt-driven from outside.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, kindly allow me, please.
Mr. Speaker, debates, come on, go.
In that very paragraph,
point of order, it's not new.
In that very paragraph, Mr.
It's
Speaker,
not new.
the president talked of.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker, point of order. I'm not talking about his day, it's my day. Mr. Speaker, point of order. Thank you very much for. I'm just still helping you, sir. I like listening to you, sir. No, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to listen to my colleague again. The well bill has increased from 2017 to presently. So can you give us the ratio in terms of employment at that time to the present day? That one can help us because we want to react. Give us the figure. Let me learn, please.
Mr. Speaker, there are gaps, he will bring them up. The points he wants to make has to do with the wage bill. Full stop.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Speaker, if I have 200 workers last year, then I have increased the employment to 500. You don't expect the wage bill to go up?
Right. So what you do now? Listen to him.
I have listened.
And debunk it when
you are not giving figures. So how can I debunk? It's the figures I want. I need the figures. Right. But I believe you give us the figures.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Just a clarification, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just a clarification. Mr. Speaker.
You'll have your time.
No, just a clarification. No, please, sir. Please, Mr. Speaker. A clarification, Mr. Speaker. On the wage bill. Mr. Speaker, on the wage bill, please.
In that very paragraph, Mr. Speaker, the president talks about strengthening commitments for use of goods and services control and cash and bank management. That is what he talked about in that paragraph 9 again. But Mr. Speaker, for use of goods again, 2017, we left it at 1.22 trillion use of goods, total expenditure on use of goods. That is operational activities of MD.
What's your source?
My source is the Auditor General's report 2020.
Is it there again?
I have it.
Can I see it? Can I see it?
Mr. Speaker.
No, honorable member. You know, when you take figures like that and you mention figures, the last time you mentioned 1.88 trillion, you had to withdraw.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I need my report, please.
You
Mr.
get
Speaker,
it back.
Let me continue.
You get it back. The last time he mentioned a figure, he had to withdraw because it was false. Where is he? Where is it?
No, where is it?
What's the figure?
Let him search. I open the page.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't. Take it back. He doesn't have it.
What?
Please. Forget him. We are wasting time.
How can you say it?
That is manufacturer. Go.
Not manufacturer.
Mr. Speaker, may I
Mr. Speaker, I think we have to hold Honorable Chekoko responsible. He's giving the wrong note.
Honorable member, I also want to learn from you, but don't manufacture figures for me.
Mr. Speaker, I'm debating publicly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the figures I am giving I will not manufacture figures because they are going public and they are going on the records. Note that, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I want to take responsibilities for all the figures that I'm giving in this house.
Will you take responsibility for the first figure? The first figure.
All the figures I'm giving in this house.
The first one you withdrew.
Mr. Speaker, will you allow me now, please?
Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for use of
Mr. Speaker, point of order. No, it's not obstruction, please. It's not obstruction. I have the right to point of order. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, sir. It's not because sorry for the interjection. No, I'm really sorry, bro. It's not about you, like wait. You drew the first figure. You have asked for this again. There is some anomaly. What you are saying for the there is some.
No. All I'm warning.
No,
if any figure is quoted in this house, let it not be a manufactured figure.
Yes. So what you are saying,
I'm taking responsibility.
So no, it's for the
I'm taking responsibility
we are live
for all
on
the
TV.
figures I'm quoting now, Mr. Speaker.
Wait.
I cannot wait. It's my turn. I'm debating.
I am protected by the speaker.
No, but you are disturbing me, sir.
Mr. Speaker,
you are disturbing me.
Can I continue to?
I'm
Now, protected, sir. Wait.
Your member is on oath. He's on oath, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, did you know that when he first
Let me say, Mr. Speaker. That is why he withdrew.
Remind me.
That is why he withdrew.
Fine.
That is why he withdrew.
Good.
He's on oath.
No.
And he has taken responsibility
And
the statement
with the audit
he's
report,
making,
with this last
and
audit
the
report,
figures he's making.
what about the last audit report?
He's taking responsibility.
Thank you
That's
very
what
much,
he
I'm
sir.
taking
Thank you.
responsibility.
That is what he says.
Thank you very much. So for the press, carry that one.
He's
Thank
on
you.
oath.
I just wanted to clarify that one.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, use of goods. For 2017, we left it at 1.22 trillion euros. 1.22 trillion euros. That is what we left it at. And for 2020, it increased to 2.910 trillion euros, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the President is talking about efficiency in use of goods and services control. So if you are saying that, that is why we are on track. And the previous government left it at 1.22 trillion and it has been projected or increased because it is not projected. These are actual figures I'm giving you. It has now been increased to 2.90 trillion. Are we on track? No. And Mr. Speaker, look what he said again. This is important. He said we are going to also strengthen commitment to cash and bank management. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? Our cash balance in 2020 was 192.8 billion euros negative. Now, I knew what I'm saying. Negative. Mr. Speaker, listen to this. Mr. Speaker, this is important. In my debate 2019, 2020, and this last debate, I raised issues about the Ministry of Finance overspending the budget that we are allocating to them. Mr. Speaker, I called on you to launch investigation. You were not here when we are debating the last budget, but the Deputy Minister said they will launch an investigation. And Mr. Speaker, that has been captured again in the Auditor General's report 2020. It is there now.
Mr. Speaker, points of order.
Mr. Speaker, points of order.
Mr. Speaker, if my colleague on the other side said that the Deputy Minister indeed accept that they are going to investigate that, meaning he accepted the fact. But Mr. Speaker, that's not the fact. When he quotes the Deputy Minister to say yes, the Minister accepted that they will mount investigation, meaning the Minister accepted that finance was overspending.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking about the Minister, the Deputy Minister.
But there is provision for overspending. Supplementary budget.
I'm coming, but there was no supplementary budget. That is what I'm talking about.
And it
Since
was
we
not
came to this
overspent.
parliament,
Whether
we
they have
no
a supplementary budget or not,
nothing again.
Mr. Speaker, in the
Mr.
PMR, there is a 2%.
Allow me to understand.
The ministry
Allow me.
to spend on the national figure.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, we keep on talking about contingency.
All right.
Keep on talking about warranting of the president. You are misunderstanding it. Allow me to explain to you.
Okay,
allow me, please.
Let us make the debate civil.
Thank you.
You quote your figures. You take note. When you come, it's your turn. Debunk those figures.
Mr. Speaker, we've raised several issues. It is important, and sometimes we do quote the Constitution that gave us the mandate. Nobody should overspend the budget. It is a serious crime, Mr. Speaker. We've been citing Constitution. We've also been citing the Public Financial Management Act. But the Ministry of Finance continues to do it with a kind of Mr. Speaker, we are not checking. Mr. Speaker, in this 2020, it is now in this, I will give you the figure, in fact it is here. It is now being captured in the Auditor General's report that in 2020, the Ministry of Finance overspent budget 732.2 billion euros. Overspent budget. And Mr. Speaker, you are sitting there, you are not doing anything about it. It is frustrating. Each and every year, also, without coming with a supplementary budget, without coming with a regulations.
What do you want me to do about it?
Mr. Speaker, they should be investigated. In fact, the minister responsible in doing so should be sacked. We have the powers. We are entitled to the post. We own the consolidated fund, not them. Mr. Speaker, that is why we are accepting the budget. That is why we are approving the budget.
You know, let me show you a shortcut. Each time you observe that, pass a motion.
Mr. Speaker, do we need to pass a motion on that?
No, you move a motion.
No, we don't need to.
Yes, you have to.
Mr. Speaker,
you have to.
The Constitution.
You have to.
Mr.
Make
Speaker,
it a resolution of the House so it is binding on the executive. Simple.
Mr. Speaker, your government overspent the budget without coming to this parliament, without seeking from approval from this parliament. They are using the money. In fact, you know what the auditor stated? They don't even know what that money was used for. Mr. Speaker, again, people we are talking about contingency. People we are also talking about unallocated of expenditures. My leader, keep on talking about contingency. The other day, when I was debating the budget, you read the whole story about contingency. You read the whole story about unallocated head of expenditure. Let me refer to my Honorable Tawa. You have in the PFM Act how contingency are calculated, how they are used. In fact, you cannot touch a contingency fund. You cannot touch presidential warrant without coming into this parliament for a resolution. But what happened? It is again in this budget, 479 billion euros of that amount was used and overspent. Mr. Speaker, we don't need to talk about corruption in this house. And Mr. Speaker, the president last year's address, he did not mention any paragraph on corruption. And this year he managed to mention two. The president himself inwardly is scared of talking about corruption. And because of the Auditor General's report had exposed the president's office, the First Lady's office has been exposed. It is in the Auditor General's report that over 8 billion euros was misused by the President's office, by the First Lady's office. Mr. Speaker, these are serious indictments that has to do with the First Ladies and the President's office.
Mr. Speaker,
you know what they did?
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker, for clarification. Mr. Speaker, I just want clarity on the issue whether the debate on floor is thanks to the President on his debate or we are debating the Auditor General's report. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Because what my colleague is delving into is the Auditor General's report that has no bearing on the issue. If you make a reference to a document, that is okay. But if you go into another document without making reference to the speech, I don't think we are debating the speech.
Mr. Speaker, point of order, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me continue. The President on paragraph 147 talks about corruption. In fact, he talks about money laundering. Mr. Speaker, the President had traveled more frequently to Tunisia, to Dubai, to Lebanon. These are potential countries for money laundering. It is suspicious.
Mr. Speaker.
You know, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. No.
Mr. Speaker.
I said they are potential countries.
Wait. Point of order, sir.
I did not say the President engaged.
No, point of
I
order.
said these are potential countries for money laundering.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Tunisia is another sovereign state. It's another sovereign state. We have Tunisia. You mentioned Tunisia. He said Tunisia is one of the money laundering countries. It's one of the money laundering countries. And a president is a member of parliament. I want to refer our colleague to SO 32.9. Doesn't mean travel to a country. America today, they have killed people. So you can say America, they are murderers? No.
Mr. Speaker.
Hold on, I'm protected. 32.9. There is improper motive to any member or a member. He's a member of parliament.
What is
Telling the president that
improper?
you have traveled to a money laundering state. You are referring to the president as a money launderer.
No, I did not say
No,
the
that's what you
President.
said.
I said these are potential countries for money laundering.
No. So do you
You
have
talked about
you have
Lebanon.
records
You
on
talked
that?
about Dubai.
You have records on
You
that?
talked about Turkey.
You have records on that?
I said these are potential countries.
If a potential country, can you give Mr. Speaker?
Let me continue, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I think I'm protected. I still want to bring to your attention that it's another sovereign state. We have bilateral agreement with them. They are member of AU. If you say they are potential money laundering state, you have to justify that one for the integrity of a state like Sierra Leone. For bilateral arrangement and bilateral treaties, he has to do that one. You study diplomacy and you know the implications. This is another organ of government.
I'm sure he meant, although elliptically, he avoided using the word alleged.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me.
So please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me continue.
Admit first.
These are alleged potential countries for money laundering, and it is suspicious. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you know what? If Mr. Speaker, in accounting, this is very serious. You advised Mr. X that it is important for Mr. X to undertake certain activities, and he stopped there. And Mr. X now implemented the activities, and Mr. X now executed the activities. And I came and say, you that advised Mr. X, you are corrupt, while Mr. X is passing around freely. That is what is happening with Dr. Samura Kamara in court.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. That matter is sub judice and cannot be discussed in Parliament. Dr. Samura Kamara is standing a criminal trial. It's sub judice and cannot be discussed in court. He is standing a criminal. He has been indicted on a criminal trial. He cannot be discussed in court.
32.6.
He has been indicted on a criminal charge.
32.6.
That's
SO 32.6.
I've ignored that one, Mr. Speaker.
Not ignore, you withdraw.
Withdrawn, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in paragraph 3, the honourable member from Bo mentioned it. The honourable member from Bo mentioned it. and also the honourable member from Freetown. He talks about political stability. The president said he is committed to political stability. He hasn't said he has achieved political stability, and he said he is committed. Whether that is true or not, we the people will tell. The people out there know what is happening. Mr. Speaker, it is this government that removed 11 parliamentarians and replaced them with ordinary people from the streets.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Ordinary people from the streets.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Let me finish.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
By the end of this, Mr. Speaker, by the end of this,
There is a point of order which I will
Mr.
allow.
Speaker, I'm tired of yielding to point of order.
No. It's permissible.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
I thought you would have landed by saying not only removed but also imposed a speaker on you.
No, I will not reach that level, Mr.
No,
Speaker.
reach there.
Mr. Speaker, you are a bank speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
You are a bank speaker. I will not touch on that.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
What do you about that?
Mr. Speaker,
I will not touch on that.
Mr. Speaker, point
Allow
of
me to
order.
complete.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker,
Speaker,
point of order. Will not allow honourable to continue if he does not withdraw that statement. We don't have honourable from the state parliament.
A speaker
But then
on
you
you.
for withdrawal.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Don't stop now.
Mr. Speaker, can I continue now? I have a point of order.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, if I could proceed, I want to draw the attention of members to SO 41, and I will read for the edification of the House. SO 41, and I will read. Whenever Mr. Speaker or Chairman intervenes during the debate, any member then speaking or offering to speak must resume his seat, and the House or committee is to be silent. Thank you. 41. I want to draw the attention of members to SO 41.
Yes.
Fine. So when you are speaking, let us hear you in silence. And let me come. Can you resume your seat because they have given me the floor? Thank you very much. We have 3 organs of government. What happens at the judiciary, we are not responsible. It has happened in this House. They removed Ansu Kaikai protested against Selu. No, I'm coming. Ansu Kaikai, you are not here. And the court made a decision. They ruled in favor of Ansu Kaikai for election malpractices. And we held it by election. Equally so, it happened in the days of Afiju Lance and I was here. Afiju Kanja, it was removed by the same court and we accepted. I'm just trying to say the separation of powers. If we believe, now it's as I said, are you done? If we believe in the Constitution and the 3 organs of government, it was not the president, but his allegation that can remove any member of parliament. Let him blame the court that they presided over 11 years. Let him blame the court. Mr. Speaker, you are a victim of the court, which we overturned. Most of us are victims of the court decisions. That's why he said, in the maxim, justice delayed, justice denied. So we are talking to you through your good office. Talk to him to withdraw that statement. With all due respect, it was not the president. It was not the president it was the people who made a decision to remove members of parliament. It was not. It was the court. Thank you. Now that one, left it to Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker, I believe
Hold on.
we don't have honourable people from the streets in this house. It's an insult to members of parliament for another member of parliament to stand the way I call the ordinary people from the streets. I think that all needs to be withdrawn, Mr. Speaker. I'm very serious about that. Otherwise, my colleague members of parliament will not allow him to talk. We don't have ordinary members of the house in this way. If honourable member does not withdraw that statement, the other people from the street will not allow him to speak. If you don't, they will not allow for talk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
I think the fact remains, and here I keep saying, let us, when we present facts, let us recognize their sacred character. The members of parliament that were removed from this parliament were not removed as a result of an executive decision, but they were removed as a result of a judicial decision.
You are right, Mr. Speaker.
agreed, Mr. Speaker.
Agreed.
May I be heard, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker,
Point of order here.
Mr. Speaker, I still stand on my initial suggestion. We don't have honorable people from the street. Honorable Maya will not call colleague members and honorable from the street and allow him to write. He needs to withdraw that statement.
Mr. Speaker, may I be heard here?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, the honorable member said members from the streets. My opposite number is asking that he withdraw that. But let me further say something here, Mr. Speaker. What I think we need to understand.
Before you say it, why don't you address that first part first?
Mr. Speaker, I think I will end there. I wanted to end there.
No, you gloss over it, so let's deal with it now.
Mr. Speaker, I will get there if you give me chance.
Okay.
Let me clarify what I want to say.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, the issue here is that indeed members were removed by a judicial decision. Agreed.
Mr. Speaker, that is not even the issue.
I'm coming.
No.
I've been given the floor.
Speaker, no, I will not.
Mr. Will, I've been given the floor. And until I'm allowed to speak, I will not take my seat. I will not give you my seat until I'm allowed to speak.
Accept that.
Because I've been given the floor. Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying here is,
the debate is degenerating here to a level that I cannot tolerate. This is a House of Parliament. Let us debate in a very civilized way. Nobody, interruptions are getting rather unseemly. Very unseemly.
can I now continue, Mr. Speaker?
And I'm not going to allow that.
You gave me the floor earlier, sir. Can I continue, sir?
Let us learn to listen to each other.
So what I'm saying here, Mr. Speaker, is the manner in which the other members, the honorable members, were brought to this house is what we are questioning. What we are saying here is that members were removed by judicial decision. But the Constitution also stipulates that we have 14 days to appeal, but in 24 hours they were sworn in this house. So what we are saying here is the manner in which it happened was not the most constitutional way. And that is what we are saying. If the honorable member is saying, honorable member, we are disenfranchising people, bringing people who were not qualified to be here. That's what he's saying.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
We are not voted for. Those who are voted for, they are voted out.
They are voted for. Honorable. Mr. Whip.
That's why they are here.
Hold on.
Come to Parliament with the matter was decided upon.
The honorable member from Tonkodili, you promised that you were going to get back to the first point.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, that the honorable member said they are ordinary people from the street. They are now honorable members, but they were before they became honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, point of order 32-9. Mr. Speaker, 32-9. Bash. Bash. Bash, 32-9. Wait, Abib.
Mr. Speaker.
You know, honorable members,
Mr. Speaker.
honorable members, please take your seats. Honorable members,
when I was giving the floor to the honorable member from Falaba, I said I should brace myself because I know that the SOs are coming into operation. And one thing I want to make a promise to this house. When I get round to writing my memoirs about my experience in this 5th Parliament, some people are going to feature very prominently. I'm going to get back to you, sir, honorable member. Let's get to the first point now. That statement has to be withdrawn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the sake of progress, I withdraw the word ordinary. Now, 11 members of parliament were removed and replaced with people from the streets. Thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, let me continue.
I will not allow you to proceed with that kind of statement.
Thank you.
I will not allow you to proceed with that kind of language.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker,
I want an unreserved, unequivocal withdrawal.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw. Withdraw, Mr. Speaker.
You see, honorable, there are various ways of making yourself famous.
I know, Mr. Speaker.
You know the opposite of famous?
Unfamous.
Huh?
Criminal. Notorious. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't want you to appear on the page where I will deal with the opposite of
I don't want to be one, Mr. Speaker. Please.
But you are getting dangerously close.
No, I will not.
To be one.
I will not, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to progress.
And every time you take the floor, I have to use this law book.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have withdrawn.
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on SO 32.9.
Mr. Speaker, let me continue.
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on SO 32.9. No, Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on SO 32.9.
Mr. Speaker, let me continue.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, let me continue.
Mr. Speaker, as the leader of the Western Area Caucus, I would want to ask, sorry, Laimara.
Still on paragraph 3, Mr. Speaker, on paragraph 3.
Mr. Speaker,
the President said,
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
The President said,
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on SO.
The President said,
Mr. Speaker, he cannot proceed until he withdraws that statement. You know the procedure.
Mr. Speaker.
Leader, please, 1 minute, sir. Don't give me a minute, sir. Don't give me a minute, please. Mr. Speaker,
yes.
As the caucus leader of the Western area and the deputy leader of the Western area, I am a politician too.
Mr. Honorable Member, which caucus?
Western SLPP Western area. Mr. Speaker, I agree. The SLPP Western area, please, Oga, please let me finish. Mr. Speaker, as a caucus, we are not going to validate.
Mr. Speaker, may I continue?
I am allowing the point of order. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, as a caucus, we are asking everybody. Mr. Speaker, we are asking everybody to be patient, to be calm. That as a caucus, we are not going to validate Lahai Mara's comments with an exchange, because that is what he wants, and we are not going to give him that. Let him call off ordinary people from the streets and let him continue, please.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, let me continue, please.
Mr. Speaker, I think the decorum of this house is being breached very, very seriously. And that is the conclusion I have reached. and I don't mind whatever description you people care to give me. I give you 1 minute to round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, the President said in paragraph 3, he is committed to political stability. Mr. Speaker, our party headquarters was bombarded with tear gas. Mr. Speaker, our party stakeholders were sent to prison unjustly, Palo Conte and wife, and recently was Kemotise. Mr. Speaker, during by-elections, Mr. Speaker, we continue to face thuggery, we continue to face humiliation. Honorable Fode Kaba was molested and embarrassed by the Minister of Youth. Honorable Abdul Kabo was sent to cell for a crime he did not commit. Mr. Speaker, of recent Dr. Mfa, the IG of police himself arrested him and detained him for nothing. Mr. Speaker, recently, Mr. Speaker, the court removed all our political party stakeholders. But Mr. Speaker, the APC did not do anything. It's not that we are not capable.
And with that,
it's not that we are not it's not that we are not capable of creating mayhem. It's not that we are not popular, but we continue to maintain stability. And therefore, it is not this government that is committed to stability. It is the APC party. We are the people that are committed to stability. Thank you very much for taking all my time, Mr. Speaker.
the egg. I'll smash the egg and prevent it from hatching. The pen. I give the floor to the Honorable from Kono.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank the President, the retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, for this report. Mr. Speaker, from the national point of view, or from the National Medium-Term Plan document, I see this report as a detailed report. Of course, as a detailed report. So my debate will focus on issues we have seen as a committee, we have visited as a committee on either an oversight or an invitation. I will start with mines and mineral resources. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with your leave, I want to read from the late President Ahmad Tijan Kaba's document or handing over speech. The President said, keep a watchful eye over our mineral resources and ensure that they are exploited for the maximum benefit of the ordinary people. In this connection, we have already taken measures to develop a database of our mineral resources. I stop there. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, why database? Today, we have witnessed the geophysics survey that has been done with the government and the World Bank. And I think as a country, we can proud of a comprehensive database that will show us now the types of minerals we have, the quality, and the deposit. This is just a sign to demonstrate that government is continuity. And as member of parliament that is leading this document we call, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if you have seen this document before.
Go ahead, assume that I have.
Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, the national medium-term plan document, cluster 2, this is the document. Cluster 2 of this document. Cluster 2 of this document, they don't have page, it's bullet. It's bullet. This document is talking about us to manage our mineral resources. And I want to say we appreciate the Mines and Minerals Resources Minister, the current minister, for the negotiation under the leadership of President Bio they did for the Tonkolili project or the Tonkolili mines. The simple reason, Mr. Speaker, is because we have experienced a 21-year mining companies in our district, and we have seen less benefit from those mining companies. Whether it's because of the agreements or whether it's because the mining companies don't want to perform as we expect, we don't know. But what I will say here, the Tonkolili district has benefited from a huge mining agreement from this government. And with the Kinhu mining agreement, government is taking the rail and government is taking the port. I think it's a huge and laudable venture this government has paid attention to, considering the speech of the late President Ahmad Tijan Kaba and this document. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the SL mining agreement today has also benefited this country, a huge percentage going to government for the people of this country. So I want to say, honestly, the Ferengbaya and the SL mining, to be very honest, will benefit this country, and we want to encourage the mines minister and the government to negotiate more good negotiations for this country. We have more mining companies in Kono. We want to see some of these agreements also affect us in that district. Mr. Speaker, I will shift to infrastructure. Why infrastructure, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will also quote from the late President Ahmad Tijan Kaba. You know, the interesting thing I enjoy as member of parliament, colleagues don't know, is because I am in charge of the biggest development in this country, and I have a very good cooperation with my minister, and whenever there is development going anywhere in this country, Honorable Fofana is part and parcel, including the Rogbere Bridge.
Honorable member, you know, I have a little device here that records the number of interruptions that I get from honorable members. If I check the number and it registers up to 20 for you, for anyone, it means he has already made his own contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will also read.
Somebody has recorded 18 already.
I will also read, Mr. Speaker, from page 2 of the President Kaba's speech, or the handing over statement. The following roads have either been constructed or are under construction. The Koribondo Blama Road. Mr. Speaker, geographically, if you go to Bodi Street, you take the Koribondo Highway going to Pujem, there is a junction going to Blama. Blama has been the first district headquarters of Kenema district. And up till now, that road has not been constructed. Well, it has been re-gravel now. It's among the re-gravel roads. But President Kaba told us about this road. Going further, he said, the Gendema Ferry Road and the Makeni Kamakwe Road in the north, the Kurubola Kabala axis, and the Maishaka Makeni Road also in the north. Work is in progress on several other roads, such as the Maishaka Bo Road in the south and the Toke Lombli Road in the western area. Therefore, completing the Waterloo Freetown Peninsula Road. Funding has been secured for several planned road projects such as the Bo Kenema Road, the Bo Kwendu Road, the Makeni Matutuka Road, the Matutuka Kwedu Road, the Rogbere Junction Pamalap Road, and the Songo Moyamba Road and the Moyamba Junction Road, with regards to the Hill Bypass Road that will run Pandemba Road Prison and exit behind the Kisi Road Cemetery. Why I want to bring forward some of this written statement is because I want to believe that government is continuity, but I also want to say it's good for government to be very robust in terms of oversight. And because of this reason, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the Kamakwe Road has not been completed yet. The simple reason is because I want the works chairman, who happens to be the deputy leader, to know that CSC is still asking for their remaining $25 million before they continue that phase. Coming to the Mabam Bridge, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to appreciate the government because the government decided to pay the counterpart fund for the Mabam Bridge, the Bele Bridge, and the Liberia Highway, starting from Gundama. Because starting from the Gundama Bridge to the Wanje Bridge to the Moa Bridge, those are the huge bridges around that particular project. And I want to believe the counterpart funding is respected by this government, because the government knows that if those monies were not paid, then the contractor will not continue. I want to say the Committee on Planning and the Economic Development has been part and parcel to this project. December 2020, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we did a robust oversight with the resources of this House of Parliament, and we made it very clear to CSC that we cannot wait for those roads. We want to see those roads completed. And what they told us was 2022 April, we are going to hand over this project. Just less than 2 months, we saw a huge convoy from His Excellency the President going through all those projects. And today, the Bele Bridge has been handed over, the Mamba Bridge is already completed, the Moyamba Junction, Moyamba Town Road is completed, and the Liberia Highway is also completed. This has shown the responsible nature of this president. And as chairman of Economic Development Planning, I want to thank NAO. I want to thank the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, of course, my honorable colleagues, and this House of Parliament, and at the same time, thank the EU for supporting this project. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to say SLRE has got very interesting director, Mr. or Engineer Amara Jambai. Kane, Jambai Kane, Amara Jambai Kane. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I have never met the minister. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with this engineer, we were able to receive a comprehensive report about SLRA work around the country. Few years ago, I personally was convinced that Kono district will have 26-kilometer road, paved road. But with this report, SLRA made it very clear that Kwedu City only have 15.18-kilometer paved road. So for me, as Parliament, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, even though you are telling us that if Honorable Aymara comes back, he will not come, Mr. Speaker, please come. After 2023, we will still want to see you here. Because honestly, you are still young to be among us. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Parliament is charged with the responsibility to investigate government and report to our people.
Point of order, point of order. Mr. Speaker is still young.
Mr. Speaker, a question was thrown to you. Can we please have a reaction to that question? Because you have been reacted. You have been reacting.
Which one?
The honourable member said you are still young. You don't want to come back. You still want to come back. We still want you to. Are you coming back?
Well, what?
So you have been reacting to questions.
No, what I would say, I don't know. Young is a relative term. I would say I'm a youth. Not young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And I have a definition of youth for you. My definition of youth is this: it is a function of performance and not of chronology. And therefore,
totally accept, sir.
And therefore, my youthfulness is judged by my performance. And if you say I'm youthful and I'm still I said my definition of youth is a function of performance, not of chronology. You are monofocal. You're looking at things purely as a number. I'm looking at youth as an act of performance. So in that sense, I'm perfectly capable of coming back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Speaker.
If I wish.
We will appreciate that.
But it may not be my wish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I continue, I just want to tell you that, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I know the president is a listening man, is a listening leader. We really want to see Parliament, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, go on oversight 3 times every year. Mr. Speaker, to be very honest with you, when this committee on planning and economic development goes on oversight, we always have problems because of parent committee and cross-cutting committee. But I can assure you that across party line, members of Parliament have been very professional across party line to tell contractors that we want to keep this project according to the project timeline. And this has helped a lot of good projects in this country. To be very honest, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, CSC told us about they are being ordered from France. So we have some delay for them to come here. But members, we are very, very strong enough to tell them that even with the coronavirus, we still have rice coming, cement coming, iron rod coming. So we want to see those beams in Sierra Leone. And I think because of that oversight, we have today seen huge millions of euros of projects being completed. I want to go to the area of the re-graveling of those roads. From the director of SLRE, Mr. Jambai, we discussed with him. He said contractors always come, international contractors in particular, they do their survey and they cost their roads. And for this reason, government has been losing huge amounts of resources because of that. So under the leadership of President Julius Maada Bio, he said, I want to re-gravel my roads. I want to cost my roads because honestly, we want to close the wastages. And we agree with him because he has explained about the amount of monies being paid as compensation to affected property owners along those corridors of roads. And today I think government can stand tall to say nobody can say around the Rogbere Bridge that they have to pay me, or around the Godama Bridge to Liberia Highway, nobody will say they have to pay me, or around the Moyamba Junction or the Mabang, because of this particular strategy put in place. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to say, if you go to Pendembu and see what's happening from Pendembu to Kwendu, you will learn from the reality that when Parliament do an oversight, government also does their oversight, concerted effort on oversight, you see result. And this is the kind of nation-first performance we want to see. As a party, my leader always tell me that it's not that you don't see problem. Go and do a research around the problem, but make sure when you explain the problem, you bring a solution. So that is why our debate is very, very shaped in a national platform, so that at least we go in for actual development. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will take you to health. The health sector has been a very critical concern for us in this country. And I want to say, under the leadership of this government, we have seen a lot of improvement in the health sector. And most people in this country always say the flagship project of the government is education. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Cluster 1, which harbor the flagship project, health, is bullet 3. And because health is bullet 3, let me just tell you what is happening. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Potloko, you can see the emergency referral hospital. The government and partners. If you go to Pujan, you will see the ongoing construction going on at the Pujan government hospital. If you go to Kono, you will see almost close to $30 million PIH hospital that has just started. It's a maternal hospital of excellence. This is some of the medical development this cluster is talking about. Mr. Speaker, just a few days ago, I was in Kenema. That's on Monday, in the constituency of Honorable Abubakar Fofana, where MSF and this government handed over millions of dollars hospital. Kenema. It's called the MSF Hanga Maternal Hospital. The honorable member is here. He can testify. And the people of Kenema appreciated that hospital because it's going to be a referral hospital for almost the entire Eastern region. And anytime from now, we'll be going also for the Kono facility. Then the Eastern region will be more equipped in terms of health facility. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, if there was no need for this government to recruit nurses, then we see no need why 5,000 nurses should come into the payroll of this country. And because we have around 5,000 nurses that have been recruited, automatically it means we still have more nurses out there that need recruitment. And we are encouraging the president. We are encouraging the president to do more. We want to thank him for what he has done so far, but we are going to encourage him to do more. You know, Mr. Speaker, SO2, Pikino no say empire pull chop money. Already we know no power pull chop money. So we are urging the president, the retired brigadier, to do more. Mr. Speaker, I will go to the area of SRN. In the history of this country, this is the first time we have seen government taking the responsibility to train higher class of nurses, midwifery. I'm saying this from an informed point of view, not because I'm a member of parliament, but it's because, as I said, I'm controlling this national medium-term document. Yeah. Mr. Speaker,
number 20,
honorable members, I want to assure this House that now we are training or upgrading our CHOs to the level of doctors. It's because of concerted efforts with partners. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to come to the NAXA safety net. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the NAXA safety net has been an issue a few months ago. As a committee, we decided to follow. We did not only do it in isolation, but the chairman, Dr. Roland, was with us, with some members. We went to Bombali and we went to other places, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. The issue around the NAXA safety net project, the World Bank and government have been settled. How? It was before only the community people identifying the beneficiaries, and then they bring the beneficiaries to NAXA to pay. What this government has done, the beneficiaries are being identified now by map out stakeholders in the communities. They bring them further in a cluster meeting for approval, and later they take their document to Freetown, and when the payment is ripe, they have somebody from ACC that is in the team. You have ONS, the district council representative, to pay these monies, and they pay those monies with pictorial evidence. And we have asked them that as parliament, we want to see our district caucus leaders being involved, because when the problem comes, they call the members of parliament at district level. SO2 MP, they write me name, they no pay. They write me name, they no pay. So we have asked NAXA that if they are paying in Bombali, the Bombali caucus MP is there. They can call upon the Bombali caucus MP to be present for that payment, not only ACC or ONS or the district council. As members of parliament, we are responsible members of parliament, and we want to see some of these developments we be part and parcel to. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I will also go to the area of education. I have said it once and I will continue to say it, Mr. Speaker. The issue of free quality education has been the bottleneck for Sierra Leoneans. Well, for me, I want to say the political will that the president took to say, I will bring the free quality education, is a job well done. The issue of quality left with us as parents. Mr. Speaker, SO2, they not be the give we lunch for good school. Now by foot will be the worker. My primary school was 8 miles, Mr. Speaker. And honestly, some of us, our parents, we are not educated people, but they were asking us every evening to take our books and study. SO2, how many parents they tell them picking and say, "Una take una book, una study today"? But yet still people are talking about quality just as something that has to do with only the president or this government. I want to disagree. This is our responsibility as a country, and we need to take that responsibility very seriously, Mr. Speaker.
It's carrying ago.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have a very serious problem going on between government and teachers. But I want to ask a question. Even though we love our teachers, we want to see government to improve the lives of our teachers because we pass through them. And honestly, they are one of the best institutions this country can boast of. But my doubt I have is for the SLTU. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, from source, teachers are paying monies to SLTU. And we expect SLTU, with the investment of the hotel they have in Freetown here, to at least organize themselves to see how they can constantly engage government on behalf of teachers. What is SLTU doing? Every now and then, teachers are on social media, on print media, television, asking for condition of service. It's very strange. It's difficult. But what I want to say is SLTU should really take responsibility, serious responsibility to engage government. And I want to urge the government to open more doors, to listen to teachers, because we need them. They are Sierra Leoneans. We have those who are trained and qualified. They go to Gambia, they go to Ghana, they go to other places. For those who believe that they can stay in this country to make change, we want the President and the Ministry of Education to listen to them, so we all can join hands together to improve their lives once again. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to come to water resources. I want to urge government to fast-track the new Sembeun City water facility. Of course, we discussed with the minister, the study has been completed. Maybe government have problem with contractors or what, we don't know, but we are asking that we fast-track the issue of the Kwedu water facility. And I want to thank government on this note for the Bont municipality. Mr. Speaker, the plant Bont is using is a unique plant that this country have never experienced. That plant is capable not only to transform the salt water into a safe drinking water, but its sustainability capacity is very huge. I cannot tell you the cost, but the chairman, Honorable Mara, should have explained about that. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the 6-town water project in Moyamba district, in Kwanadugu district, in Kailaon, in Kambia, in Pujeong, is capable of serving 12,000 people and beyond. I want to thank the government and the Ministry of Water Resources, because it's sad for those district headquarter towns to have served this country in terms of taxation, professional in those districts that has worked for this country, and their district has never benefited from clean or pure drinking water for the last 50 or 60 years. I think the decision of the government to institute this 6 water project is a laudable one, and I want to say thanks to him. We are urging him and the Ministry of Water Resources to fast-track the completion of those projects, because water is life. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to assure this House that the borehole wells that has been drilled around the country is for emergency purpose, but it's good because we are using them now to solve our domestic water crisis we have. I want to also urge the government to really look into the 3-town water facility in Bombali, in Kenema, and Nimbo, we really want to see the expansion of those projects and the mining activities that are going around those rivers to be really cut down so that at least we will have those rivers to be a sustainable ones for this country. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to say we have all reason as Kono MPs or people of Kono District to appreciate His Excellency the President. Mr. Speaker, the simple reason is because
in the White Hat.
up to date, the ECOWAS resources has not come for the Kono University, but government is pre-financing that university. On that note, we want to appreciate the government for that. Mr. Speaker, I give you the last one in the area of decentralization. I want this parliament to thank so much, join me thank the RMFA for the support they have been giving councils for bridges, culverts, and feeder roads. And I also want to thank EU and the government for providing $25 million for 4.2 districts: Bombali, Pujeong, Kambia, and Kenema district, plus Karine and Falaba, $1 million. I think those councils will use these monies wisely to mobilize revenue generation for the future. On that note, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the people of Kono District and on behalf of constituency 023, I want to thank the President so much, and I also want to thank this House for this opportunity. I thank you so much.
I thank the honorable member for his contribution to the debate. I will now give the floor to the last speaker for the day.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, may I be heard? Mr. Speaker, telling us that you're giving the floor to the last speaker.
Wait.
I mean, for me, I'm very doubtful because you have a list that we presented as a party, and Mr. Speaker, already they are one ahead of us, and I believe we have to equal that one first, and we can discuss the way forward. But Mr. Speaker, you can still have more than 5 people to debate. We still have time, Mr. Speaker. I'm the acting leader of the opposition. Honorable Latif, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members.
Mr. Speaker.
Exercise maturity, my brother. Please, wait. Let the speaker choose who has to talk.
Take your seats. Now, tomorrow is the third allotted day. And I'm going to restrict members' contribution to a time limit. Out of consideration of the fact that we want as many of you to contribute to this debate as we can possibly accommodate. This is possibly the very last presidential address before the election. I know that. So bear in mind, tomorrow I will be allowing not more than 15 minutes per speaker. But for today, I'm going to allow 2 speakers of 15 minutes each. 15 minutes each. 15 minutes each. 2 speakers.
How many?
15 minutes.
So how many speakers?
I will start from where my heart is. My heart is here. And I'll end up from where I eat. So Latif, you have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members.
Followed by...
today is another day.
What's the name?
And we're here to discuss on the motion of thanks to His Excellency, the President Julius Maada Bio. I want to thank the President, for the true confession that he made in the speech that he delivered here in this House. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, when you go to paragraph 1, page 1, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this President said, when I first addressed the House, or this House, 4 years ago, the world was in a vastly different place. I brought to this House plans to translate campaign promises into policy action, to tackle troubling inflation and low revenue mobilization, to introduce disciplined leadership and efficiency in the face of the dire economic situation we inherited from the past government. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this administration is known for casting blame and aspersions to the former regime. But we see how the government has already, upgraded these blames, and they are now talking about international conspiracy theories, or talking about how what is happening in Sierra Leone, it's not only unique to Sierra Leone. For us, as honorable members, we have to be truthful to ourselves. The President came here in 2018, and he promised loftily to the people of Sierra Leone. And him coming back in 2022, telling us that all what he promised, he cannot deliver on. Mr. Speaker, I believe it is very clear that indeed the President has confessed that he is unable to perform what he promised us in 2018. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in 2018 report, or the speech, page 14, paragraph 56.
Substantiating that statement.
Mr. Speaker, let me forget, please, I only have 15 minutes. Yes, in the 2018 speech of the President promised us that he is going to ensure that he creates a scheme, that will give incentives to teachers that are in remote areas, teachers that are teaching French and sciences, and also teachers that are teaching in special needs institutions. Mr. Speaker, that has not yet been done. Mr. Speaker, there is a video that was around the social media where the President said he has completed his manifesto, and he's now giving us bonuses. I'm still in doubt, Mr. Speaker. That's why I want to remind the President of what he has promised and he has not yet fulfilled. One is that the President promised us in this House that is going to ensure that any teacher who has taught for 10 years and above, 3 kids of his or her are going to benefit for free education at university level. Mr. Speaker, that has not yet been done. Also, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the President said any teacher who wants to pursue higher education, he is going to ensure that he is going to benefit from free tuition fees. I have paid for one of my counselor
who is a teacher. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Mr. Speaker, please take note. Mr. Speaker, the time is going on for me. Mr. Speaker, honorable member, please hold on. The president is going to ensure that he is going to construct one primary school in every administrative setting, and also is going to construct one junior secondary school in every ward, and is going to also construct one senior secondary school in every constituency. Mr. Speaker, that has not yet been done. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the president also said I'm not the speaker. Talk to the speaker, sir, please. Talk to the speaker. Mr. Speaker. Talk to the speaker. Don't talk to me. Leader. Mr. Honorable, you are too hyper. Calm down. Calm down. Mr. Speaker, we are live on air. You are too hyper. You are hyper. Calm down, honorable member. Please calm down. Because you have 15 minutes doesn't mean you should be telling us stories that are not correct. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you are too hyper. Honorable Latif, you are too hyper. But you are not telling us the facts. No, you are not. You are not. Your frequency is influenced by Katwaba. No, I am not. Your frequency is influenced by Katwaba. Mr. Speaker, we are live and the public is watching us. When you give information, when you make statements in this parliament, we are honorable members. When you make statements, you should make statements of facts. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is very clear that all serving teachers who have taught for more than 10 years, their children are enjoying scholarship. I can tell you that categorically.
Fine, you've clarified it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I will tell you.
5 more.
It's no, Mr. Speaker, I haven't started yet.
5 more.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, you see, Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable. I mean, receiving this kind of information from the deputy leader of government business, it means something is wrong. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the president said in the 2022 speech that he's going to ensure that Potloko Hospital, the one in McKinney, are going to be rehabilitated. I mean, for me, I was thinking that he's going to deliver what he promised us in the manifesto, wherein he's going to ensure that all regional hospitals or district hospitals are going to be upgraded with modern facilities. Yeah, the MRs, scanners, and all. Potloko, where I belong, Mr. Speaker, we don't even have a scanning machine. And now he's saying after 15 years, they are going to, rehabilitation hospitals. For me, Mr. Speaker, the amount of money stated here is, very ridiculous. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, now Mr. Speaker is watching me. He wants me to push and push, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are intimidating me with your eyes. You are intimidating me. Mr. Speaker, you are intimidating me with your eyes. Mr. Speaker, please allow me to fly, please. Mr. Speaker, yes, Mr. Speaker. I am your son. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay, point of order.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The point raised by the honourable member in terms of rehabilitation of hospitals and schools, I have a long list here which I've prepared for this particular debate anyway. If I'm chance to say a word or two, you will hear from it. Here is a list of all hospitals which are going to be rehabilitated and other rehabilitation and the rest.
No, just focus on Potloko, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Now, just Potloko.
Okay. Potloko, of course, construction of ophthalmic dentistry, ear, nose, and throat center is going to be constructed, and of course that one, these are constructed already. I'm waiting now for up to
okay, thank you. Go on.
In fact, Mr. Speaker, you see, they are disrupting me. I have a lot of information that I believe the president, will be able to listen to and to act on. You are not helping the president.
No, Mr.
You are not helping him.
You are not saying
because, hold on, I'm coming. You are not helping the president. We as opposition, we have the responsibility to go out and identify issues and bring them to this house so that the president will be able to listen to them and adjust his stance on those problems. But you honorable members there, you are only enjoying the facilities that you are having, but you are not helping the president. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me go to infrastructure. I don't have time.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. There are very senior members here. I don't want to obstruct you. You have cited so many instances where you have not produced evidence. I don't want to go to that. Please, be mindful, please. No, be mindful. Okay, quote now. Where the president said you take MRI scan to Potulokos. Say, quote us. The source. If that is what you want.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you see, the leader wants me to expose some of these things, but I will expose them.
Point of order 34.
I will expose them.
I said we have senior members here.
Yeah,
making utterances to some of us. He has to be very careful.
Agreed. So now let me quote. Let me do the necessary quotations. Let me do the necessary quotations. In 2018, speech of the president, page 19. If you have it, if you don't have it, I can help you with it. 1, paragraph 75. The president said he's going to provide modern equipment, including CT and MRI scanning and other diagnostic and treatment equipment in all regional hospitals. I will help you with the document if you want, a leader. You are reading from a piece of paper. Yeah, you show you want the document. I will help you with the document. I have them here, my brother. I have them. I give you the benefit of the doubt. Not of my time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me go to infrastructure. You see, governance is continuity. It's a fact. And some of us, we do subscribe to that saying. But I'm looking at what the current administration is doing. They are only commissioning projects that were left. And then they forgot what they promised the people of Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in the new direction People's Manifesto, they promised to construct a flyover from eastern to western. Where is the point of order? Where is the flyover? I the manifesto is here, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, every one of the page, the book is here, show the complete line.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I said I don't want to interrupt him, but this one has to look at our manifesto. I have the SFP manifesto. I'm challenging you. Now, tell me the page. Don't say the word for
79, sir.
79.
And go there, let me read.
Hold on. Paragraph what? Hold on. I am at page 79. Page. Show me the page. Show me the page. Mr. Speaker, I am page 79. Show me the page. Manifesto. Let's show you the paragraph.
There.
No, let's show you.
I will read what is there.
No, show me paragraph.
It said, build wider roads and flyovers and underpasses to bridge gaps in the road network. In gaps network in view of east, west, and east. And he also said, right, they are going to construct a toll bridge to connect Freetown to Tagrin, Lunge. It is there, except if you don't want to. It is there. It is there. I'm a honorable member. I will not lie. I will never lie. Whatever I'm saying here is the gospel, Mr. Speaker. It is the gospel. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Let me go again to the same infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. This government said they are basically looking at the possibility
to fix a toll bridge from Freetown to Tagreen Lumle, which both of them are denying now. It is in their manifesto. It means they are not reading the manifesto, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the PAR also said that it's going to ensure that we fix a 4-lane express road from west to east, Freetown, within 5 years. And he also said, widespread, blah, 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 and he's going to build new flyovers at key junctions of Longley, Como Cross, Model, Eastern Police, Upgon, and Clytown. It is in the manifesto as well. One peg will not see it, Mr. Speaker, SOP. One peg will not see it. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the PAR said is also going to develop a light transit centers at Mashaka, Moyamba Junction, Bo, Makeni, and these are going to have facilities for accommodation and also showering, toileting, and restaurants. And we are not seeing anything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the person is going to ensure that he wants to use the Hastings field, the Hastings.
On that note,
yes, I am coming. He wants to use the Hastings field, for air taxi. You cannot come in public. Mr. Speaker, that bill has been sold. Goody is at work. Has been sold.
On that,
and we will investigate. So who that field is sold. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. You see, they also spoke about agriculture. The past. Mr. Speaker, no, I'm just finished. I'm wrapping up. Mr. Speaker, the Tobago. Goody at work. Do you know that Tobago rice farm is now under investigation? Your people have chopped the money. Mr. Speaker, they have chopped the money. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I mean, when you look at the information that was presented to us, we are expecting that at this time, we should not be importing rice. But as it is now, it seems as if all the cash that this government has injected into agriculture has been used for personal use. Mr. Speaker, this direction is not good for our people. So it means 2023, the PAR should be knocking SO2, Waraka, and forget about this thing. Because he is not ready to lead our country. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And I'll give the floor to the Honorable Munir Toure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, my colleagues. You have spoken very well. If I want to begin to look at what this debate means, is thanking His Excellency the President. And thanking His Excellency the President is also thanking ourselves for what support we have given His Excellency the President to be here what we are today. If you want to make a good presentation of His Excellency's achievement, there's no way you can leave the Parliament behind in kind of presentation of thanking to his President, not including the Parliament itself. My brothers and colleagues, we have done realistically very well. Your points are well taken. They are cautions to us. And our points are well taken for us to facilitate the President's speech for all of us to achieve the same goal. And if you look at the speech itself, that's what he's saying. We have made several achievements. And if you look at it, the President has said severally in the presentation that we have made progress together, which means inclusive of all the governance structure, and also which means the Parliament itself. And then we will continue to make together. And he has made several references to our own input. Let us be realistic in presenting that. Dissolution in presentation, in debate, sometimes negates our own inputs, and we become unrealistic in our own achievements. So let us be very realistic in what we present to people for us to understand. Let the people understand that the Parliament also is doing very well, impressively, because we are part of the governance system, and we are doing extremely well. So I want to tell the Parliament also thank you for what we are doing, and let us be very constructive in doing it. I have listened to several presentations, and there are some I will not talk about because they are sometimes not legally irrelevant. But I will talk about few key issues, the issue of wage bills, and then I will talk specifically to the background on which the President presented to the current situation where we are. And when he presented his manifesto and the policy actions 4 years back, I will bring that and I will narrow to specific sectors to see what progress we have made together with the President and the Parliament itself. Let us not denounce our own efforts in making that the President and the governments have done so well in promoting this country in a status where we are today. Thank you to you all, and thank you to the President, His Excellency, Dr. Madabio. Let us don't dispute that. Some people say about way bill, maybe in the last speech. Of course, way bill has to be matched with the increase in employment. You have to look at those matching points. If you talk about increase in wage bill, there also should have to be an increase in employment rate, which some people fail to present, and they only presented the wage bill as figure level. Figures are not impressive. Figures are not realistic. Figures are just straight to the point, but negating the other aspects of the impressiveness and the achievement, which we need to be not to be looking at properly. Then also, some people will talk about increase in the consumption of goods, services, supply. Yeah, it is. But let us also don't forget about the demand and supply side of it. When there is an increase in demand, the supply cost is always heavy, and we need to look at that critically. And also, I cannot refer to the Auditor General's report, because it has some other critical analysis and components to be analyzed very well before you conclude. So that is out. And I will also look at the overspent budget. Overspent budget, it will also hinge our own credibility as Parliament. Where are we? Is it relevant? Is it dynamic? Is it necessary at the point that it has to be? If it has been, there was no evidence to present that it has been. But if it has been, it has to be realistic, and it has to be to our own commitment and responsibility, which we have agreed. And I also talk about the issue of increase in teachers. But let me take that specifically to sectors. What I want to present in the report of itself is the background of the report itself. I can read some aspects of the first page, and that is page 1, and the first point, which say, when I first addressed the Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, allow me to say this. Honorable House, 4 years ago, the war was in a different place. I brought to this House plans to translate campaign promises into policy actions to tackle troubling inflations and how revenue mobilizations to introduce disciplined leadership and efficiencies in the face of the dire economic situation we inherited as a governance. I don't think in every governance structures in Africa there has been and never a smooth transitions where there has never been issues in terms of deficits, in terms of inflations, in terms of our economics problems and calamities. It has always existed. But HE is saying base for us to be able to make our own input to see what we can progress from that level. And if you look at that report, 2 and 3, is also supporting what he has said in the first page, in the first point, that is point 1. Now, if we also progress further to look at what we call development planning, it has said very good things about development planning. He came in with a concrete development plan, that we support the economy for a growth, that we support all of us to achieve our goal. But in the other years, there came calamities in the world economy. That has been mentioned severally. If you look at the World Forum, the Economic World Forum that is going on, the president of that forum presented that the world economy is facing calamity. And that calamity has induced some of the suppliers to withhold their supply by creating deficits and creating hardship to the ordinary people in the world. Somebody said from the presentation that we need to manage that. But is this manageable in our own economic situation, with the context of our economy, that the productivity of our economy is very low? We don't have absolutely much to produce, to exchange in the international trade. So we need to face that difficulties. And the president went further to say, among these challenges, we still have to make some progress. And that's presented in what he has done in the 4 years. Somebody said in the presentation that was it relevant for the president to bring in 4 years achievement progressively into this debate? It is relevant, as I say. 4 years is what measurable to see progressive achievement we have made in the past years. What we need to do as a parliament, we need to gear towards what input we can make to see what we have done. I know this parliament has worked unanimously to support the president, essentially the president, to achieve most of the things we have achieved in the past years, except you want to deny it because of political interest. Denouncing the interest and taking into consideration your political interest and not regarding the evidence-based performance of what we have done. But if you are realistically looking at those issues, we have done together, progressively, as a component of the government, that we have done very well together. I thank you very well for all what we have done. Now, if you look at this report, and if you look at the press report President made in this parliament, majority sections or sectors of that report presented what we refer to as the parliament's reality and the parliament's responsibility and the parliament's effectiveness and the parliament's cohort input into the national government, which says most of these sectors have to look at improving our laws, has to look at improving our policies, has to look at improving our delivery of our policies, has to look at our concrete analysis of what we do to support the national government, especially the executive, to achieve our goal, which we have done unanimously as a team. I want to thank you very much for that. Except you don't want to look at it critically, but that we have done unanimously as a parliament. Why do we come on negating? By thanking His Excellencies together as us, as a cohort, that we have supported that program so diligently, so resiliently, for us to be what we are today. Let us be critical in our analysis. Let us don't attract the audience by bringing in disillusion in our presentation. Disillusions in our debates bring negativities. And the public, we are to educate the public. We are to represent our people. And whatever we say, they believe in it. But let us be realistic in what we present. And let us be constant and very strategic in presenting, because the international committees are looking at us. We know our deficits have always been negative. And what do? We always ask for international committees of support to fill our gaps of deficit. If you present negativity in the governance system, of which you are a component, and we don't have finance to to progress that? Who do you blame? Is it only the executive or also as a legislature? You have made several good laws. You are credible to it. Why can't we accept that and make us that we reflect on what we have done so perfectly? Let us look at the executives. The president has his own responsibility, and he's the leader of the government. Whatever he has presented in his report, he has presented all of us as we and his government. His government includes all of us, and we includes all of us. So if we present negativity, are we not doing anything very serious? So what strategy will we need to reform ourselves to be able to support this governor? Let us ensure that. Let us don't look at a political glance. Let us look at it as nationalistic people to present our own case and to support the national government for us to be able to achieve, and to support the executive, especially the president, to achieve what he has presented in our country. Let me narrow down to specific sectors. Maybe I will look at health. And I will look at, okay, don't worry. I will look at education specific. People want us to look at the education with immediate results. But what is relevant as now? Are we making the relevant inputs in education? Are the inputs yielding any output relevant to our overall goal? Yes. When you talk about accessibility, it has increased. That's why some people talk about classroom be overpopulated. If classrooms are being overpopulated, then we have increase in enrollment. If we have increase in enrollment, what our strategies and our law will help us as parliament to make us professionally present that we increase the level of classroom so that we will all work to support the government. That is very realistic. It is our responsibility. If we talk about payroll increment, it is, if you look at the statistics of payroll, the teachers are making more than half of the payroll budget in this country. It is, no, look at it. Is it overexpending? It is overexpending. No, it is not. Because teachers are a very good component to improve our flagship of the education program. What we need to do, can we look at our employment protocols in teachers' employment? What relevant will Parliament do so that we have a realistic of employing some credible teachers, and we have a possibility of employing teachers that are committed, not teachers who are employing to work and working in other institutions that are not producing the requisite support and services to the teachers, to the schools. We continue to reduce our presence. Let us look at those areas specifically. Let us look at health. My brother and sister, the health has improved credibly very well. I was in Bo. Let me look at specifically the neonatal ward in Bo. The neonatal ward in Bo, if you look at specifically as an example, there has been an increase in the commitment of nurses and the credibility of nurses in reducing the neonatal mortality. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you this. I was in that ward for 4 days because my wife has to deliver a child that is below the required age of 2.5 kilogram. And I was there purposely for 2 reasons. One, to monitor the progress of my child, and to also monitor if the policy of the government is working very credibly. I was to realize that the nurses are trained to even put the generator on when there's light off. They rush to put the generator on. I told one nurse, why do you do this? They say in preventing the lives and saving the lives is more credible than lighting the generator. So I have to do this. These are the credible achievements we have made. Because they are so motivated to work. Because they are so motivated to work. Because of the increment in the enrollment and the increment of support they give today, these are realistic achievements we have made. Why can't we look at the commitment of the mothers in that regard? Some mothers sleep throughout outside the world to see that their children are protected? Do we have requisite laws to see that those children are protected in the best way possible? These are the things we look at. Let us also look at education at higher level, my speaker. When we talk about skill training is a credible institution. It's a credible achievement in all of the government. Mr. Speaker, let me begin with the local integration process. We have matched up almost all of our development to skill training program to youth. We have done several youth training programs. The past governments have done that severally. But what we have we been able to match up any standard? And have we been able to match up any data credible to able to track what we have achieved so much? No, we have not been able. We still continue to provide skill training, looking at SMEs, providing entrepreneurship to skill training. But are the skills not saturated? Are they relevant to our economies? We don't look at the context in which we produce our skill training program. We have several bills, Mr. Speaker, which the Parliament has to look at, not only to present in the negativity of what the current governance is, which we are part of it. We need to work in our own rigid way, in our own strategic way, in our own conscious way, in our thinking way, to make sure so we present credible debate for people to understand, or all of the institutions to understand. What I was looking at presently is the MDAs. The president presents his policy actions, but the MDAs are the ones that deliver it, the policy, and also they implement the programs. But the problem they have, Mr. Speaker, what relationship will they have with the Parliament? Are we following up in order to make, because some of the laws ask us, we look at our oversight responsibility in the law, make us to make credible laws. But what if they don't provide us a locative data? So we need to present them. Look at the few, they are here. When we look at specific issues, they are not here to respond. So let us be determined to begin to look at
agreement.
On that so with that note, Mr. Speaker, there are a lot to say, but I want to stop here and say many thanks to you, President Parliament, and many thanks to you, to His Excellency the President, for all what we have done to where we are today. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honourable Member for his contribution. Any announcements?
Announcements. Internal memo to all members of Parliament from the Parliamentary Budget Office, PBO. The Parliamentary Budget Office, PBO, as part of its mandate to simplify complexities for MPs with the ultimate objective of supporting debate, has summarized the presidential statement delivered by His Excellency the President on the 10th May 2022. The PBO is therefore informing all honourable members that the ICT has dropped copies of the summarized presidential statement on the Android computers of honourable members. The PBO is therefore informing all honourable members that the ICT has dropped copies of the summarized presidential statement on their Android computers as well as the parliamentary website for their attention. Signed by Ibrahim Jimisa, Director of PBO. Thank you.
With that, honourable members, we stand adjourned to tomorrow, Thursday, the 26th of May at 10 a.m. prompt.